23-month-old doesn't talk yet. When his toys don't do what he wants, he gets mad and yells. That's okay. Let him do that. Let him express himself. That's okay. Don't let that bother you. What you can do is if he starts throwing them or getting violent, you might say, okay, let's put it away. And you put it away for a while, for maybe an hour or the rest of the day or whatever. Working now. Thanks, Tabitha. How do we know the difference between roughhousing and hitting? They don't know the difference, so don't ever do that with them. I suggest you don't roughhouse with your kids, you don't wrestle with them, but a lot of my dads wrestle with their kids. That's how they connect. So when I'm coaching people, we have to be very careful how we do that. But I say you be careful because they do tend to get, they just get used to being rough, and then they're more likely to hit and think it's natural. So yeah, they can't discern between the two, so don't allow it. If you're roughhousing with your kids and then they hit, that's on you. You taught them that. So, yeah. I've been applying your principles with my 2-year-old strong-willed girl, and it's working, but what seems to be getting worse is the screaming. Any advice? That will peter out once she realizes it doesn't bother you at all. I would even wear earplugs if I had to. You just can't show any annoyance at it. That is what she's feeding off of. Like if she starts screaming, I just go, ooh, I think I'll go do the dishes now. You see how you don't just shut down. You keep going about your business like, oh, I put these in, earplugs, and yeah, I think I'll do the dishes now. You see, it's sort of a snub in a way, and then if she talks nicely to you though, then you want to answer her. So you want to reward what you do want. A lot of parents tend to want to just discipline what they don't want, but you also want to reward what you do want, what you want them to do. So you're not just teaching them not to do bad things, you're also teaching them to do good things. So to go towards the light kind of idea, right? Please show how you physically restrain a tantrum toddler. I don't, unless they're getting violent, I will. But I usually just hold them here and here, so sort of just above the elbows, and I hold them down like that, and a hip to shoulder. So my hip and their shoulder, and we're both facing forward. It's harder for them to bite, headbutt, and kick in that position. And you don't want to hug them. If you really have to pick them up, you pick them up and they're facing the other way and put your hand on the back of their head because they're going to do that to you. They might try and kick. So you kind of hold them off to the side a little bit and hold that head. Okay. You don't just want them not bruising your shoulder. They can actually hurt their head on your shoulder too. So it's safety. And you just hold them for a few minutes and then put them down. If they start up again, then you can do it again. But you always stay calm and don't talk to them while you do it. Talking is interacting. Talking is attention. That's what they do it for. They don't start a tantrum to get attention. They start a tantrum because they're mad that they didn't get their own way, usually. But they will continue a tantrum to get your attention. Attention is tantrum food. You're literally fertilizing it if you give them any attention. That's what they want. Don't give it to them because then tantrums work and they're going to keep having them. If a tantrum never gets any attention, it will peter out. They only lean into what works. Kids past the age of 3 and 9 months to 4 years old, around that time, well, anywhere between 3 and 4 really, but mostly 3 years and 9 months, is they only tend to do what works. Us adults, we're stupid. I'm not like that at all. I keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. And then I'm like, why didn't that work? Well, it never worked in the last 60 years. Why would it work now? But kids aren't like that. Kids only do what works past the age of about 3 years and 9 months. Two-and-a-half-year-old doesn't talk much as other kids. He will just catch on it. Okay, so this is like speech delay kind of questions, but a lot of kids don't talk till they're 3. But I can't answer that because I'm not a speech specialist. I'm not a doctor, so I can't answer that. But I will say lots of kids don't speak till they're 3. I used to say my son came out of the womb talking. And his daughter didn't start talking till she was 16 months. And, but it was like it was already in there. So now she's saying stuff. Turns out she knows a whole bunch of stuff that she wasn't saying before. But yeah, my son came out of the womb talking. Hello, mother. Nice to meet you. I mean, he was just talking from day one. Like really just, verbalizing constantly. And then it turned into words at a very young age. But some aren't in any rush. They're all different. You can't generalize. There's all these, what do they call those tent poles, or what are those called? I always forget what that's called. The things that are normal that are supposed to happen at different times. What's that called? I always forget. And I'm not even trying to remember that anymore. benchmarks. Is that what it's called? It's something like that with kids. It's not that though. It's something else. Anyway, that's just a general idea. Milestones. Thank you. It's just a general suggestion. It's, like they'll say kids walk at around 12 to 14 months. Some might not walk till they're 3. I knew someone who didn't walk or talk till she was 3. Then the mom used to laugh and say, then on her 3rd birthday, she got up and ran and never shut up. So they're all different. They're just suggestions or a general idea. But there's lots of exceptions to that. But check with your doctor or medical practitioner if you're really concerned. Okay. Actually, I've got to move over to TikTok now if you want to join me over there. If not, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. You can look into coaching. It should be opening up tomorrow. We're hoping. The wait list, I'm getting through that, and then we're going to open up the wait list again. There are, I think, a few hundred people waiting, but I do like to mix up the ages. So if you have, like, let's say I'm looking for someone with 17-year-olds, I might go, you might just apply tomorrow and get in, just because I like to mix up the ages in coaching. It just makes it more interesting for me. Anyway, and then you can look into our podcast, BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. My daughter and I do it together. She's kind of the boss of me. She does all the marketing and all the planning, and she sort of tells me where we're going with the business. I never know. But anyway, and we do the podcast together. So we're having a blast doing it. BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And it's on YouTube. If you want to watch us talk, we're very different looking. She has blonde straight hair, and I have brown curly hair. But other than that, we are mother and daughter. Anyway, so thanks so much for watching. And I'm hopping over to Instagram. I'm hopping over to TikTok. It's BratBusters Parenting over there also. Happy parenting. And 10 buttons. There we go. Okay. Lulia Chris. Lulia. Did I say that right? 2 years. Oh, 2 and a 9-year-old. Whenever she is said, okay, I don't understand that. 2 years and 9 months. Is that what you mean? Whenever she is said not to and starts to tantrum, she often screams and goes to the other parent asking for hugs or consolation. Well, the other parent has to ignore also. By the way, that's not a love hug. That's a validate me. They're trying to pull you into the negative. When they're on the low road, which is the tantrum, you stay on the high road, which is calm ignoring. Okay, let them join you. As soon as you hug them or engage in the tantrum, you've just gone down to the low road. You've gone into their energy. They've just controlled you. It's amazing how many hugs they want when they're having a tantrum, and not so much when they're having fun. See what I mean? It's just manipulation. It's not a love hug. It's a manipulative hug. Okay. So welcome to the live. I'm on TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time, which is where all my lives are saved. What else? Oh yeah, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, you can see my free behavior board, my courses. They're boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds, or you can look into coaching. Should open up tomorrow. We just have had it shut down for a couple of months because I'm super busy, but we're hoping to get through it, get reopened by tomorrow. And you can look into the podcast. My daughter and I work together. She does all my marketing, all my planning, and she's on the podcast with me asking questions from you. So it's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. And we also post it on YouTube if you want to watch us talking. We get a lot of the giggles. I think she edits out a lot of the giggles because we're mother-daughter, we're goofy. So, but yeah, and our relationship is, I think, kind of unique. I would say in the business, she would be more the boss because she's very driven, very organized, very methodical. I'm not at all. So I'm the creative one. I'm the one who talks about parenting. That's my role. So she just sort of steers me in the right direction. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and let's get into your questions. I'll do my best to answer them and throw other stuff in too, because most of the questions are about discipline. That's not what I focus on. Discipline is just a tiny part of parenting. It's more about connecting with your kids, setting yourself up as a leader. You want them to tell you everything. You want them to have high self-esteem. You want them to be self-driven, have self-discipline, have pride. If you're always telling them what to do and what not to do, where's their pride? There isn't any. You want them to know the rules and boundaries and follow them, because if they don't, you'll come in with a consequence. I used to say to my kids, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of it, because that's my job. I'm your mom. So it's all up to you, in other words. My daughter often says that she felt a lot of control over. They understood that life was up to them, that they had all the control. If they made good choices, life was great. We were just friends. We laughed all the time. It was easy. But if they did make a poor choice, mom would come in really fast and say, "Ooh, that was interesting. How about you empty the dishwasher in the next 10 minutes?" And that would have been how it went. And that would be it. But it was very rare. Hi, my 3-year-old says no every time I ask him to either pack away his toys, or something else, I'm assuming. What should I do? Put on the behavior board. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. The behavior board is completely free. And put down a rule like this. You got to be very specific. Put away 10 toys within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. By the way, Lego is one toy. It just has a bunch of bits and pieces, okay? So put away 10 toys within 10 minutes of being asked to do so. And then if he doesn't do it, then there's a consequence. And that's it. Check out the behavior board. It explains how you do all that. You're on there too, by the way. That's what makes it work. I invented that. I've never seen I don't look at what anyone else does, but evidently I'm the only one out there that has parents on a behavior board. If anyone else did it, they probably got that from me, to be honest, because I invented that 20 years ago. You got to be on there. If you're not on there, you're not a leader. You're just a dictator. And you have to be accountable. If you're not accountable, why should the kids be accountable? They're watching you. Why on earth should they be accountable and responsible if you're not? If you're not responsible for your own actions and mistakes, why should they be? It's unfair. It's unreasonable. It's mean. How'd you get on the same page with your spouse when it came to behavior? Well, my ex-husband loved how polite the kids were. So why would he? He was thrilled that I did all that. He just backed me up, and he was a good dad, but I was the leader. And I had a lot of experience with kids before I had kids. And yeah, he loved how polite and easy they were. They were lovely. And I put in a lot of work. That was my leadership, right? So why on earth would he not back me up? And I used to say to him, he said, "What if the kids ever act out, and you're not around?" And I'd say, "Well, just say, do you want me to tell mom?" Worked like a charm. So, yeah. So we were on the same page. How do you handle kids with PDA? Just once. I would like to not have to look that up. Do you know how many times I looked that up? Oh, pathological demand avoidance. Okay. I don't want to say what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm going to avoid that one. I've said it before, what I'm thinking, but I'm just going to avoid that. I don't want to address any specific diagnoses, if that makes any sense. I'm just going to let that go. If you've been following me for a while, you know what I'm thinking. Okay, Brittany, do you do coaching for 17-year-olds? Well, I only coach parents, but yeah, I go up to 18. But they have to live at home and be financially dependent upon you. Those are the only 2 criteria. And I've actually coached, the oldest I coached was up to 25, but this young adult was living at home, not working, fully dependent upon the parents. So, and it was a delayed development thing. So not just because of the way that this young adult was raised, not because they had some delay, which I do that too, but that wasn't the case. But yeah, I do specialize in teenagers. They're my favorite age. Say it. Okay. PDA. It's okay. This is what doctors have told me. It's the same as, what's the other one that's so commonly used? No one asks me about it anymore. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know why. Doctors have told me it. Oh shoot! No, I don't want to say it because then I'm quoting doc. I just don't want to get into that. It's lots of kids I have worked with have supposedly been diagnosed with such acronyms. They are no different to me than any other kid. It's not a medical diagnosis, according to doctors. It just means they're a bit feistier. And those are the kids I worked with, all those kids, the feisty ones. No one ever said to me, "Here's an easy one, Lisa." They all went, "Good luck with this one." So yeah, those are all the kids that were more challenging. And this is where I learned all this. Do you know anything about a movement disorder? That's a very broad statement, so I don't know. I've worked with a lot of kids who have been disabled and stuff like that, and autism and all those things. But I don't know what you mean. It's a very broad term. Yeah, I don't discuss medication, nutrition, anything. I'm not a doctor or diagnoses, but I've worked with a lot of kids who have all these diagnoses. I used to call them alphabet kids. They all had ADHD, WXYZ after their name. And I can't remember what it is, but I used to have a funny acronym for myself too. It was like crazy old lady or something, COL. So I can't remember. It wasn't that, though. It was something like that. And kids thought that was hilarious. Someone said, please write a book. 2025 was going to be the year of the book. I've been approached a lot by publishers and that. And so my daughter and I said, we're going to commit to 2025. We're going to write the book. Well, the podcast sort of took off and it took over. Now we're doing 2 a week. So I don't have time to do everything. I also want to write a course for teenagers. So I want a third boot camp course. I want one for teenagers. I think that's more important than the book, to be honest. So yeah, and I will hopefully write it. I just think it's nice to have all the courses rounded out so I can offer to all ages. That's why. It would just sort of round out my business more, because that's our first priority, is to make sure that we've covered all our bases before we move on to something else. I feel like the book would be too much of a leap, without having that course there. So anyway, that was going to happen this year, but the podcast took off. We didn't expect that. So one day. Just want to say, I'm going to read this out because I love this. This is Kristen Tucker. I'm focused on incorporating play with my daughter as soon as I get home. Play is their love language. Fun is their love language. Laughter, joy, goofiness, that is their love language. When I was working with kids, that was my power, is I was fun. They used to call me Fun Lisa. That's because I told them to call me that. I don't remember. Anyway, and with teenagers, it was humor. So that is their love language. It actually is our love language too, usually. We just kind of lose that as we become adults. I never lost that. I'm still I'm a 64-year-old toddler. I love goofiness. I love giggling. I love anything silly. I'm just like that. I'm kind of a moron in a lot of ways. But anyway, I love all that stuff. And that's why I relate so well to kids, because I relate to that. Their love language is fun. So think about that. That's how you connect. You got a lot of power. If you're fun, you got a lot of power. I remember I used to chase my kids around the house with underpants on my head every day because I did the laundry every day. So all my clean undies would go on my head and my leg holes were my eye holes. And I'd say, okay, the panty monster's coming. And I'd chase them around the house. If they had acted out or gotten out of control in any way, I would have stopped dead in my tracks, gone like this, taken the panties off, and I would have said, we'll try again tomorrow. They would have got the point. I wouldn't have said anything else. And they would have gone, oops, sorry, Mom. And they wouldn't even have said, can we please go? Because they knew once I said something, it was going to happen. That's all I would have done. That's all I did. Yeah, just stop the fun. Oh, we'll try again tomorrow. Right? No anger, no berating, no discussing bad behavior, all that garbage. It's absolute crap. I know it's popular, but it's garbage. Get rid of it. Get rid of all the lectures, all the discussing the bad behavior. You deal with bad behavior, then you get past it. Then you focus on the good kid. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. If you're fun, joyous, enjoying your children, and they know that you enjoy them, that's winning. Boy, they'll want to please you. If they feel enjoyed when they're with you, their self-esteem skyrockets. It's not the accolades and the praise that increases their self-esteem. It's your enjoyment of them is what increases their self-esteem. And also correcting them from doing bad things, because they can't feel good about themselves if they're doing bad things. If they feel good, they do good. If they feel bad, they do bad. We're all like that. Okay, how'd you keep a clean house with babies? Do you have any routine tips? By the way, I love cleaning. I find it very relaxing, and I've never cleaned a dirty house, except after guests leave. I maintain a clean one. I'm always got a mop in I'm always doing something. Plus, I'm more of a minimalist. I did a toy rotation system, so there were never many toys. So picking up toys took like 2 minutes. Yeah. So, and I was very organized. Like the kids had to do their laundry at the age of 3, I think. They started doing their own laundry. Not washing clothes, but putting them away. Because I had like an empty hanger where the shirt went. And I did it every single day. There was an empty hole where the rolled up socks went that I'd rolled up. So I made everything very easy for them. And then they just had to pull up their duvet or their doona on their bed. But then I'd go in later and fix everything up. But yeah, it's more maintenance rather than, I never clean a dirty house. I maintain a clean one. But I don't think that everyone has to have a clean house. That's just my way. I love clean. I'm very into hygiene myself. I just love cleaning. So I'm scrubbing. I don't use a mop on myself, but like I just love cleaning. But I don't think everyone needs to be. Like, I don't judge anyone else if they don't have a clean house. I could care less. I just like my house to be clean. I do love entertaining, but my favorite part is when people leave and I get to clean up a mess, because I never make a mess. So to actually clean up a mess. And my kids learn very young. I used to say, if I ever have to pick, when I say I'm going to be, and I mopped and vacuumed every single day, I said, if I have to pick up anything, once I've said I'm going to vacuum and mop, if Lego was out, I'd let that stay out. But, just stuff down the hall and stuff like that. I said, if I have to start picking up stuff, you'll be doing the vacuuming. I don't think they ever vacuumed, not once, not ever, because they loved the fact that I did it. So they made sure they didn't leave stuff around, right? So, but yeah, I'm more of a minimalist, and I just happen to love cleaning. But it's not for everybody. If you're not into clean, then don't worry about it. If anyone judges you, tell them where to go, out of your house. I have 3-year-old boy triplets. Will your program help us? Yes, some of my clients, a lot of them have twins, and I have some triplets too. So yeah, it's all the same stuff. They do tend to be more competitive because they're all at the same level too. So yeah, although, no, I won't go into all that because most people don't have triplets or twins. So, but yeah, there's a few little things that I usually give as tips, but I don't put that in the course because it's just not something. The only thing I would say is that with twins and triplets, you can take advice from other people. I would look into that. Look into the Facebook groups or whatever. They have a lot of advice, for things that they've seen. Like, in other words, one of the things that was really difficult with a parent was they didn't know, one kid was more advanced than the other, and the teachers suggested that they move up a grade and the other one be kept back. And it depends on the personalities. We discussed that, and they kept that. I think they ended up keeping the older child back rather than trying to push the other one. And then I think I checked in years later. This is a long time ago. We checked in years later, and it ended up being the right decision, but it could have gone either way. In other words, you don't really know what the right thing to do is all the time. Sometimes you just have to make a bit of a decision on the spot. But yeah, that one was a bit of a tricky one to keep them together, keep them in the same class or separate them. What I would do with triplets, though, I have a family, and I said, if there aren't 3 classes, then you should put them all in one. So if there's only 2 classes, I wouldn't have 2 together and the other one alone. I would have them either all together or all separate in different classes. So there's a few things like that are common with that. The name of the podcast is BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and it's on YouTube if you want to see us talking, because we're filming ourselves as we do this. I've tried not calling attention to it. Timeout, redirecting. I think I'm not doing it right. Oh, timeout. I hate timeout. Oh, can't stand it. And you don't redirect past the age of about 1.5. You don't redirect. Okay. How to parent teenagers who were never disciplined. How can I turn it around? I'm not the parent. Oh, it's more about connection with teenagers. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. They happen to be my favorite age. There's nothing wrong with teenagers. It's just parents don't know how to adjust to the teen years. That's why I teach parenting, not teenagering or not kidding. They already know how to be toddlers. They know how to be kids. They know how to be teenagers. You're the one that has to adjust. Okay. These are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. By the way, they already know it. Number 2, negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Reciprocity, mutual respect, right? Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, I would just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age, and laugh it off? Or do you want to hear what I did this morning and laugh it off? In other words, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes, right? We all do it. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. So parents of teenagers, for some reason, want to discuss the bad times with their teenagers. They say, when should we do it then? And I say, never. Why would you do that? Why would you focus on the negative? Why do you want to berate them for everything they put you through? That's never going to get you anything good. It's going to get you the other. So Don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times, and you never discuss the bad times ever. There's no point. Number 5, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. This is more of your own personality trait that's good with everybody. You can either be a right fighter or you can be happy. Once you got a bit of back and forth going on, you realize that even if you know you're right and they know you're right, they're just going to keep fighting, especially then. Shut it down. Just say, okay, never mind. We'll just talk about it later. Do not say, never mind. We'll talk about it later when you've calmed down. Talk about an accelerator. You're going to accelerate the anger. So yeah, you can either be a right fighter or you can be happy. Can't be both. I used to be a right fighter. I'm pretty quick with words. Yeah. And I used to be a pretty good right fighter. And I don't know anyone who's a right fighter who's likable. I don't think it's a likable quality. I was also funny and goofy, so it kind of made up for it. But yeah, right fighting is not the way to go. No one likes a right fighter. Think about that, especially your teenager. Oh, if your toddler's sick, do you handle tantrums the same way? No, you meet their needs and manage their wants. Just a sec. If they're sick, tired, hungry, cold, etc., you're not meeting their needs. So even if they're having a tantrum and they need food, I would still feed them through a tantrum. You know what I mean? Like you meet their needs first. The tantrums over the wants are what I'm discussing here. Whenever I say you ignore a tantrum, it's over the wants. It's over not getting their own way, that kind of thing. And a tantrum is based in anger. If it's not about the needs, it's based in anger. So that's why you don't validate it. It's not emotions and feelings. It's just not. They're mad that they didn't get what they want, when they want, and how they want it. You do not need to address that in any way, shape, or form. The best message you can send them is ignoring it, because they're learning that, wait a minute, when they say no, they mean no. And acting like this is never going to get me what I want. So you ignore the tantrum as soon as it's done. Oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book? You ignore the crazy, reward the calm. If you stay on the high road, the calm road, you let them join you there. You control the energy in the room. You are calm. If you join them in the tantrum, all of a sudden you're both on the low road. They just controlled you. They brought you into their energy. I'm calm as anything, looking at my nails, filing my nails. Like I'm waiting for them to join me in my calm energy. I know energy is so foo-foo, but it is what I'm talking about here. It's my calm energy is what I'm controlling everything with. When I'm disciplining, my calm energy is my control. That's what I'm controlling the room. I'm controlling myself, and they will join you eventually. Would you parent a child with ADHD any different? No, those are all the kids I learned this with. I didn't learn much with my own kids, to be honest. I learned all this before I had my own kids. But I did live through the teen years, and I did adjust to that. But I was mentoring troubled teens before my kids were teenagers, just so I kind of understood the difference between going through the teen years. That helped a great deal. So yeah, I just understood stuff better. So, but yeah, ADHD those are all the kids I worked with. I used to call them alphabet kids. They always had ADHD, WXYZ after their names. How do you become a leader to your children? You might want to check out my website, BratBusters.com. The training wheels is the free behavior board. You can check that out if they're 3 and above. But even if they're not, there's a toddler section on there. It's a mini course. There's a bunch of videos in there of me just talking about it all. We updated all of our courses, all new videos. Yeah, so it was a lot of work. Anyway, so we did that, and they're all updated now. So, and there's no difference. If you have the old course, like about 2 weeks ago, before it was updated, just refresh the page and all the new stuff will come up. So what was I going to say? How do you become a leader? Yeah, the best way I can explain it is look up the BratBusters pool story. Just Google it. BratBusters pool story, like swimming pool story. It explains leadership. I deal with bad behavior, then I focus on the good kid. I know how to get the best out of kids. I know how to make them feel good. If you feel good, you do good. If you feel bad, you do bad. That's why I never shame and blame and lecture. Ever. You get bad stuff back. You do not want to shame a child. It'll backfire down the road. It may work in the short term, but they feel like crap when you do that. Why would you do that to a child? Why do you want them to feel bad? Don't discuss the bad behavior. Just deal with it. That's the pool story. It explains how I work. Okay. Okay, good question, Laura. On YouTube, 3-year-old, if the rule is to put 3 toys away within 5 minutes of being asked to do so. So this is the first consequence on the behavior board. She broke a rule. Oh, the rule is to put away 3 toys within 5 minutes of being asked. So she doesn't. So we go to the behavior board. But what about the original task? So now that could be the consequence. Okay, so you didn't put it away within 5 minutes. So now you can put 6 toys away within 5 minutes. That could be the consequence for not putting away 3 toys. Okay. She's only 3. You might want to do something different. Just make it It depends. You can do that one though. Just a little chore. Don't worry about what it is. It's just the fact that if they do something naughty, if they break a rule, then they're going to do a good deed. It could just be helping you do the laundry. It could be wiping the toothpaste out of the bathroom sink. It could be put some dishes away from the dishwasher, something like that. But then, so they don't have to do the original task though. No, they don't. Unless it's part of the new consequence. They do not have to do the original task. Nope. Good question though. Very good. I wonder if I've got that in the course. Consequence. I'm going to put that in the course if I didn't already. Do original task. Plus consequence. Sorry, I just got to put that. Because if that's not clear in the course, that's my bad. I'll try and get that in the course. Ooh, okay. This is Linda. How to deal with aggressiveness during tantrums. My 3-year-old walks towards me to hit when I ignore the tantrum. Yeah, that's a physical threat that you got going there. You want to nip this one in the bud, okay? So if he's coming towards you, you're ignoring the tantrum when he comes toward you. I would almost take the first hit because I'm not looking at him, right? If you look like you're afraid or you're going to, I would almost take the first hit. And then when he hits, then I would physically restrain him. I probably wouldn't even, he's 3. I probably wouldn't even say anything. I would just grab the hand that he hit with. I might grab both hands, maybe turn him around, hold him from behind off to the side. It's harder to hit headbutt and kick in that position. So maybe hold him like that for a minute or so, then let go. If he starts up again, try it again. Then after it's all done, you say to him, if you've already got a behavior board, I would put that in the behavior board, by the way. I would put no hitting is his rule. Check out the behavior board. It's on BratBusters.com. It's free. Put down no hitting is his rule. So you've already got that precedent set up. The behavior board's up. He already knows that. So then after the tantrum is over, then you say, oh, by the way, you hit me. Let's go to the board. You're going to address the hit. You do not discuss a tantrum. If you do, you're weak. You do not discuss a tantrum or attitude ever. So you say, okay, you hit me. Let's go to the board. But you were making my meds. He might start arguing. This is you. Let's go to the board. You're walking towards the board. No matter what he says, you go like this. Now, let me see. Now, your rule is no hitting. So you hit me. But that wasn't fair. You said, so your consequence is, you see how I'm just following through? I'm not addressing his arguing because there's no point. He's being rude and disrespectful. You are the leader. You are following through. You said, let's go to the board. Now you're going to make it happen. So let's go. And you're always like, you've never seen it before. Now, let me see. Now your rule is that he could be screaming at you. If he's really carrying on, you might go like this. Anyway, so your consequences, you see, you're just following through. Calm, calm, calm. Okay, I got to get going. My alarm just went, so I got stuff to do. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, which is the training wheels with all this stuff. It has a section on toddlers and then the 3 to 12-year-old, the behavior, or actually 3 and up, because it talks about the behavior board, right? You can use that with teenagers too. And then you can look at the courses. I have one boot camp course for toddlers and one boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. You can look into coaching. It's opening up soon again. I've just been super busy. And you can also listen to our podcast. My daughter and I work together. We also do the podcast together. She does all my marketing, all my planning, and she just asked me the questions that you have given us. So I'm answering questions on the podcast, and they get more involved on there. We only maybe do in a 30, 40-minute podcast, we might only do 5 questions. So I elaborate a lot more on there. Here, I'm just kind of running through, right? And I'm going to try and do lives almost daily again. For about 1.5 years there, I did lives every single day. And then I got super busy in the last year or so and wasn't able to do that as much. So I'm going to try and get back into it because, boy, I miss doing lives. I really enjoy this. My favorite thing in my business is coaching by far, no comparison. And then the podcast, because I'm working with my daughter. And then this, my third favorite thing to do in the business. It's all talking to parents, basically. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. And I'll be back again, hopefully sometime tomorrow. Happy parenting.